Okay, everyone, welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. I am saying hello to probably like the 5 people that are watching this. Anyway, I'm very new here, and I hope that you are too, and that we can jump on this train together. I'd like to talk about what's just happened. So, this week, the sky did a thing where it goes dark in the daytime, and every civilization that has come before us would have been sacrificing something, fearing the worst. And we're just over here with our eclipse glasses that will end up in a landfill somewhere, desperately hanging on to the hope that the system will collapse or reform. Pick your poison. Same instinct, different century. Now, we've just had a solar eclipse, a total one in Leo. And let me be upfront. Whatever you've been feeling this week, that's just the preview. This is a 6-month movie, and we've just watched the opening credits. So what actually just happened? First of all, I am in Europe where it is super spicy and hot and warm, and I have no air conditioning. So you're going to see me fan myself throughout this video because I am just sweating like a whore in church. Yes, I know. That's a very true statement. Let's move on. A solar eclipse is just a new moon with main character energy. You can go back and watch my former YouTube clip where I talk a little bit more about it. Every new moon, the sun and the moon meet up. They make a conjunction. But an eclipse only happens when the meeting occurs close enough to the moon's lunar nodes. These 2 points where the moon's orbit crosses the sun's apparent path on the elliptical. So when that alignment gets tight enough, the moon actually gets in the sun's way. The sun, the moon, the earth, all a straight line, creating some sort of celestial reboot. During a lunar eclipse, which happens with the next full moon in less than 2 weeks from now, the earth blocks the sun from the moon. So that lunation is a little bit more of a purge. It's messier and a bit more unhinged. This solar eclipse that we've just had on August 12th was definitely a reboot, but don't mistake reboot for gentle. Reboots still require the system to rearrange yourself. So if your life is feeling currently chaotic, this is completely normal for the time being. And here's the part that nobody wants to hear. When the lunar nodes are involved, it means fate is involved. Fate, which means something is not going to explain itself and show up on time. Karma doesn't announce itself, it just happens. The full reveal of this eclipse lands when the full moon returns in 6 months from now, which is, I believe, January 22nd, 2027. But you're going to get an earlier preview with this partial lunar eclipse that we're having in Pisces coming up on August 27th. Mark your calendar, y'all. That's when the story gets its first real plot twist, as in Pisces, we are closing out the last 18-month cycle of the lunar nodes on the Virgo-Pisces axis. So before we move into the Aquarius-Leo axis, we need to finish out all of the themes that are on that Virgo-Pisces archetype. It's definitely a karmic cleanup of sorts. If the timing feels now anticlimactic, like you were promised an earthquake and you just got a light tremor, that's good. Sit with it. And the real tectonic shift is still loading. And please be mindful of those that are actually suffering from the consequences and the aftermaths of multiple earthquakes that have disrupted so many lives across the globe. Please extend compassion and offer healing for any of those that are affected. So the sun is not a tanning lamp. Yeah, the sun is just not an accessory. It's the reason that anything and everything on this planet is alive at all, including us, humans, our species. Nothing grows without it. Not plants, not animals, and definitely not you. So in your chart, the sun is a reactor core. It's the soul's furnace. It's who you actually are underneath every other role that you've been cast in. Your ascendant or your rising sign is the significant main character, the vessel that the light gets to shine through, that everybody else gets to see. But the sun itself is the light. So the moon, by contrast, is borrowed light. It's an illusion, a reflection. It's the mind, thinking, feeling, reacting, beautiful and necessary, and still fundamentally not the source, not the sun. So when we talk about solar eclipses lighting something up in your chart, we're actually talking about a source code getting rebooted. Not your moods, not your coping mechanisms, not how others see you, just you at your core. So when the solar light in your chart is activated, 2 words tend to surface: joy and vitality. Not happiness, but joy. And I have come to learn, albeit the hard way, that joy isn't performative. It's not for an audience, and it isn't contingent upon anything going right. And here's the part that I really want to land. You did not come into this incarnation as a blank slate. You came in with a game plan. You are here to play that out. Astrology doesn't invent that plan, but it definitely shows you a blueprint. And eclipses, they don't ask permission. They just hit next chapter and move on. This solar eclipse in the sovereign sign of Leo that we just had was all about the light that moves through the heart and out into the world. So let me save you some anxiety. You don't need to go out and save the world or run a country for this to count. You just need to let your actual light out from wherever you've been hiding it. I say this as I try to practice it myself, which is extremely difficult for a person that doesn't like to be behind the camera talking to strangers on the internet. Though the old gods and the new will it, so that's why I'm here. The deeper story of this Leo eclipse with that South Node in Pisces undertow is simpler and harder than any of that. It's about releasing whatever is quietly devitalizing you. The people, the habits, the situations, the thoughts, or even the mindset that drain the joy out of you a little bit at a time. Every one of those you remove is helping you shed layers of you in order to share the radiance that we're meant to see. The sky right now is negotiating a very old argument: power versus surrender, free will versus karmic circumstance. That's the tightrope that we're all walking on. And the theme of this recent eclipse heading into these next 6 months, if I had to hand you one word, is courage. Do you have the courage to walk away from the past? Not towards a guarantee, but more towards I don't know, with absolutely no promise that it's going to work out, because that's the deal on the table. Nobody's handing you a warranty on a better life, just an exit door and your own 2 feet. So you get to choose. You get to choose to be the main character and to make action of that. And here's the quieter truth underneath all of it. Every karmic release requires a sacrifice. Something has to go. So if you're asking, what is that something? Let me spare you the suspense. It's usually almost a part of your ego, not your soul, not your worth, just a part of you that's been mistaken control for safety. That's compassionate courage, not the loud kind, the kind that lets something die quietly so something truer can breathe. Zoom out with me for a second, because this just isn't personal. We are watching systems that demand blind conformity to start to buckle from the inside. We are watching Mother Earth violently take back what is hers to protect. And we are stepping into a chapter of human history where freedom becomes the loudest value in the room. And yes, that comes bundled with a ton of chaos. And that's just what freedom costs on the way in. And please remember, folks, that freedom is never truly free. So here's your question for these coming days as we head into the lunar eclipse. What are you still clinging to? Not because it serves you, but because you're afraid that there's no other alternative and you don't know what the other side looks like. And what if that thing is already dissolving, whether you let it go or not? Yeah, you want to let a few things fall apart on purpose. Not everything, just the things that were never really holding you up in the first place. If this landed for you, I'd love to hear what you're releasing. Drop it in the comments or join us on the next Mindful Mooncircle moment, which is Sunday, August 23rd at 2100 CEST time. I've linked that registration within this article and description. Until then, stay soft, open, yet courageous. Oh my gosh, you're still here. Well, I'm thanking you for sticking it out. Hello, everyone. My name is Audra. It means storm in Lithuanian, which is absolutely spot on for my personality, even if my parents didn't intend it that way. I am a yoga teacher, a writer, a social activist, a mom, and a proud lover of plants and animals and the cosmos. Alongside my work in restorative yoga, which is what I currently teach, I use astrology as the language for understanding the deeper tones of human psychology, both personally and collectively. Because when we recognize the archetypes that we're living through, we start to see the bigger patterns shaping our moods, our relationships, and even our politics. And then we can arrive at a clearer read on the human condition. My yoga practice has been the thing that's kept me on the straight and narrow, which hasn't been simple, as I've lived a life glittered in some sort of chaos, some of my own making, some not. And now that that chaos seems to be becoming the norm for everyone, I feel called to help others cope, surf these waves of the collective intensity that we are all living through. Have you had your mental breakdown or burnout yet? Perhaps an awakening too, since the pandemic shifted everything. No judgment. I totally get it. I have lost my damn mind so many times. I have forgotten where I've left it, but the doctors and the mental health care professionals that I've received treatment from over the last couple of decades assure me that this is totally normal. And that's why I love teaching restorative yoga, which I discovered by accident one day when I allowed my nervous system to genuinely reset, letting it find neutrality. Since then, I have discovered seeking states of deep conscious rest as one of the most radical forms of self-care that I have ever practiced, especially in times as tense and uncertain as these. So that's what I teach: deep, deliberate rest. Corpse pose with a purpose. Astrology as a translation tool for the mind, body, soul experience, and a very human, messy, yet honest way to interpret our transformations. Yes, we're supposed to have those too. I know it's very scary, y'all. So, my work blends yoga philosophy and social activism. I write about mental health and how that connects to our physical, emotional, and behavioral well being. And here's where I get a little spicy. A big part of my work is writing critically about our relationship with technology and digital media. I call myself a social media de-influencer, not because I hate the internet, but because I think that we deserve a better one, or at least my children do. I've lived this around a decade ago when I woke up to my own social media dependency, and it got super messy before it got better. I navigated burnout, the doom scrolling, relapses, and the strange grief of realizing how much of my life I traded in for screen time. These days, I largely live an analog life, and I write about what that actually takes. A spoiler alert here, it's really tough, which is why the strangers on the internet need to hear from me, or so that's what I'm being told, which is why you're seeing me here now. Anywho, you can find me on Substack and across other socials. The link is in my bio, about me section, blah, blah, blah. And please do like, subscribe, follow, or do all the things that one is supposed to do. Welcoming you if you are new here. And if you're one of my 5 loyal followers, I'm thanking you for your time and dedication. All right, guys, see you next time. Have a great weekend.